Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Lauren Williamson. The Barnstable Town Council held a special meeting of the voters on Monday night in response to a petition they received last month requesting an open meeting to discuss concerns about Avangrid's Park City Wind and Commonwealth Wind projects. Several hundred residents attended the 3.5-hour meeting held at Barnstable High School, where they took turns asking questions and listening to the town's response. Take a look.
Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to attend this special town council and open meeting of the voters. I'm Mark Ells, Barnstable's town manager. My introductory comments will try to address the issues and concerns identified in the petition, but my primary role is to listen and to try to respond to your issues and concerns.
How do you expect citizens to feel comfortable and support the horizontal drilling under our beaches, the micro-tunneling under the Centerville River, the digging up of our streets in the historic hearts of our villages and residential neighborhoods, and the building of enormous power substations on top of our wellhead protection areas, but companies whose consultants' work is described by our own assistant DPW director as crap?
I'm sorry to disappoint all the people I told I was not going to speak this evening, but I want to make a point that I hope so many people are leaving, and I need to make this point before too much longer. The town does have power. It's been one of our major arguments. And I want to make sure that every person in Barnstable that cares about this knows that the town council does have the power to say no. And I just, thank you.
This is about landing 2 billion with a B watts of energy under the town of Barnstable's recreational and residential areas. In my opinion, that's not appropriate. There are Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I told you it was going to be a great show tonight.
I came here to learn, and I've been learning a lot, much of which alarms me. I think the idea of routing cables through the Cape Cod Canal sounds very appealing for somebody who's still on the bottom end of the learning curve here. And certainly there's a lot to be concerned about. I'm old, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing a lot of gray heads and a few bald ones too. I'm not going to be here to see what happens if we, not just on Cape Cod, but as a people, fail to address the climate crisis. But our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will come storming into heaven, and they will demand of us, you said you loved us. How could you have let this happen? That you knew what was coming and did nothing. So all I can do as I continue to learn here is beg all of you to make sure that when we have satisfied as much as we can satisfy, that we figure out how to do this. Because if we fail to do it, and we seem to be in the lead in the country, and I'd rather see us as pioneers than guinea pigs. I like the feel of that a lot better. Because if we fail, then the rest of the country gets to take the model that you can, stop something like this with, with the death of 1,000 cuts, as the Chinese used to call it, the death of 1,000 cuts. I don't want to see alternative energy die in this country a death of 1,000 cuts. We have to figure this out.
I feel like we really dug into some important details in a healthy and transparent way tonight. So a sincere word of thank you to the petitioners who pulled this together. But I also feel like we need to expand the aperture a little bit to look at the entire picture. I think we should be saying to ourselves, this is our wind, and then asking ourselves what we want to do with it. We should be determining our own path forward as much as possible, and thereby reducing the spaces in which terms are dictated to us. This entire experience has felt predicated on a sense of a loss of control. This event tonight represents a retaking of some of the control lost by our citizens, and that should be applauded. It's a big step in the right direction to restore some sense of trust that your elected officials and town staff are always working in your best interests. Up until now, the tenor of this conversation has been that unwelcome things are being done to us, and this kind of experience can lend itself to a victimhood narrative in which information appears contradictory, and everyone appears to have this self-interested agenda, and our citizens feel like things are way out of their control.
I heard Mr. Ells answer most of the questions. Attorney Nober also pitched in. They used "we" a lot. I don't know who "we" is. I don't think I heard that the town council was consulted and voted on these things. I'll say we, a town council, well, I'll just speak for myself. I can only speak for myself here. I am an elected representative. Mr. Ells is not elected. And we are the direct voice of the people. And I feel that's important, and I think that's what I've heard tonight, is we need to have better communication with the people who elected us, and there needs to be a process where we listen to people better, and we have open communication, and we have more transparency in our decisions.
So we have shown that we have seen and recognized the fact that there is power in the Article 97. Now, I will not say that this was not a great event. This was a great event because it was an opportunity for us to get information to you to the best of our knowledge. So now I am recognizing, you hear me, that in Article 97, we recognize that. We did that as a council. Now, moving forward, I believe the best course of action is gather this information. Notice we didn't have Avon Grid present today. This was not a meeting about Avon Grid. This was a meeting with you and us. I purposely did it that way and asked them not to participate so that at a future date we could collect as much information here as possible and move forward and get your questions before, through a town council meeting, again, which you are welcome to come to, and it will most likely be our second meeting in November, that you could come and ask questions of we will, the council will. You see the council on the dais ask questions of Avon Grid, to talk about things like safety, right? To talk about things like money, okay? So now, what I ask you is please continue to stay engaged. Please continue to reach out to us. I know Town Manager Ells has said, please ask him questions. The reason why Town Manager Ells was answering a lot of the questions today is because he would do a better job than any counselor. That's why he's in the position that he's in. With over 30 plus years of working for the town of Barnstable, I could not answer those questions. Could I answer most of them? Sure. But as well as him? No. Because I wasn't the president of the council when these first two agreements, Vineyard Wind and Park City Wind, were put in place. And I thank you very much for being here. Again, I wish everybody stayed till the very end, but maybe you can pass it on and they can watch it on YouTube at a later date.